This is day 335 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. If you'd like to sponsor upcoming share more of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi, please contact me directly. It would be very greatly appreciated. Today we're doing Siman Reish Mem, Sif Ches, Siman Reish Mem, Sif Tes Zayin. According to the schedule of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi, today is the last full day we are doing the second chelak of the Arukh HaShulchan Piskei Mishabura, which corresponds to the second chelak of Mishabura, and that means that tomorrow at some point in the Seder, we are going to begin Hilchos Shabbos. So Hilchos Shabbos, Mir Hashem, begins tomorrow with tape number 336, recording number 336. So, but in the meantime, we're still in Siman Reish Mem, and we are, as I said, Ches. The Hashanis, the second of the inappropriate forms of relations, B'nai Snua, children of a hated woman. When at the time you have relations, you don't love her. But if the time you have relations, you love her. Even though in the past you detested her, mutar, that's okay. Hashlish, the third is B'nai Richuk. Here it says actually B'nai Nidui. Shehu or he menudime based in the she or he are in cherem. The same thing is true. Halacha says when he or she are an avelus, which of course is forbidden, and some say also in a case where she is a nida, which of course is also forbidden. V'yis b'nei tmura. The children of exchange. That he thinks that this woman is someone else. He had in mind a different body, not hers. Even they're both his wives. If he had in mind for this body, wife number 3, but he made a mistake about her name. He thought her name because he thought wife's number 3's name was Shishma Rachel. He thought wife number 3's name was Rachel, but really Beshma Leah. It was wife number 2's name was Rachel, and wife number 3 is named Leah. As long as he knew which one of the wives he had in mind. Test. V'chamish is the 5th B'nei Moredes. The children of a woman who is rebelling. She says, I don't want to have relations with you. Even nevertheless, he has relations with her. Even at the time of the act, she is agreeable. Nevertheless, but she doesn't want him in general. But she is on her way to a divorce. It's forbidden to have relations with her till she is reconciled altogether. To renege from her intent to divorce. Hashish is the 6th is B'nai Shichrus, children of drunkenness. Shikar, where one of the two of them, or the other of them, or both of them, of course, is inebriated. Hashvi is B'nai Grusha Salev, children of the woman who was divorced in his heart. Shagamar B'dato, he has decided, the Garsha, to divorce him is a time for some reason. Ava B'shov even loves her, but he's going to divorce her. Therefore, once he has a mind to divorce her, he should not have relations with her. The 8th children of mix-ups. That's when he's with her. No, say he's thinking of another woman. 9, the children of a woman who is brazen. She demands relations explicitly. She is like a prostitute. But she's not demanding explicitly. But rather she tries to seduce him. She decorates herself in front of him. So she should pay attention to her. If he has relations, so at that point he has good children. Yud. One is not allowed to look at the woman's the makor, the opening. Somebody looks at the opening. Has no shame. And he transgresses the standard, let's call it, of being going with modesty. and he removes shame from on his face. Anybody who is embarrassed does not sin. His fear should be on your face. Zohabosha. That is embarrassment. So you shall not sin. So the al-panechem, having yira on your face, means that you should be shame. Anybody who has a fear of God is subject to shame and embarrassment. Also, he incites the Yetzer Hara in himself, although since his own wife, I'm not sure what the issue is. The Kol Shekain, and no Sheikh Sham, somebody who kisses the opening specifically we're talking about here. She'over al Kol Eila, he transgresses all these things. These are not specific, as we mentioned before, these are not specific prohibitions. Especially, it's perhaps a lack of shame, perhaps it's a lack of tzne'ah leches, but these are not specific prohibitions. So therefore, one should not look at this as something which is usher, but at worst, I say inappropriate. It's also, since that is the place from where all sorts of fluids emerge, so therefore it's considered to be like Baal Tishaksu, like doing something disgusting. Again, this is not an explicit prohibition or not explicit. This is not the true definition about Tishaksu, which is talking about things which are either usher or disgusting in an absolute way. But again, it is correlated. Again, this is not something which people are makrid on in any way, shape, or form. Certainly not our day and age. But at the time of relations, he should be on top and she on bottom. The opposite is derech azus. It's again brazen. Questions whether that does not constitute a prohibition. I don't know exactly what that means. Shamish both together. Maybe it's side by side. I don't know exactly what it means. Anyway, reason derech ikesh. This is a way of stubbornness. Don't know. Yurav. Also shamish he tells me neko adam kshu ne'or. It's forbidden to have relations in front of any person who is awake. I feel that they have some mechitza, or even there is a divider which is 10 tefachim high, which is really not very high. If it's in front of a child who does not know how to speak, it's permissible. But if he knows how to speak, also it's forbidden. Even though he doesn't understand what's going on, because he can tell over what he saw, and that becomes ugly. A room which has an actual Sefer Torah or chumashim, which are scrolls like a Sefer Torah. Also, you have to have a divider of 10 tefachim in front of them. It doesn't work to cover them up, even a vessel within a vessel. The chmir will cover Sefer Torah, because of the Sefer Torah, they're particularly machmir. And a curtain. It's not called mechitza kevin kavov unavanat. It's not static and it moves back and forth. So if it doesn't move back and forth, or maybe kfius, it stands as if it is permanent. Having a mechitza, then it is like a wall. Even when you can make a mechitza, it's only permitted if there is no other room. If you have another room, also it's forbidden until you take the Sefer Torah out into the other room. Okay, a lot of Mishnah Berurah on this Sefer. He says that the Biur Halacha says that also when you're sleeping, it's best to have a mechitza around the bed. I assume it's when you're sleeping uncovered. Mishnah writes that if the mechitza has slats and the sforim can be seen through the holes, if it's a shas of chak, you'd be lenient, but the chatchil it's best to close the holes, lattice work. That's what it's called. That nothing should be seen, especially with the Sefer Torah mamish. You should be machmir. But in the Even Ezer it says that the sforim should not be seen above the mechitza. We don't say good asek. That mechitza goes up to the wall, to the roof. The Biur Halacha says that from the Shulchan Aruch it seems that that's not true, but you can be lenient about this. The Rabbah is not sure. That was Sefer Torah. It's best to be machmir at the government. Other Sfarim, it's possible that just the barrier in of itself is sufficient. The Biur Halacha writes that if the door is open and the Sefer Torah can be seen from another room, you should cover it in the other room. In other Sfarim, you can be lenient, and you don't have to. Somebody's lenient, you don't have to protest against him. The Shas Chak also, it sounds like even by Sefer Torah, since it's all together in another room, you can't cover up for some reason, you can be lenient. You basically yesh b'cheder tefillin or svarim ani posim. If you have in the room tefillin or printed books, Mikra, Mishnah, Gemara, Paiskim, Tanakh, Mishnayos, Gemara, or Shulchan Aruch, the like. Also, Shamash named Kli, so Kli, it's forbidden to have relations until you put them in a vessel within a vessel. Mishnah writes that is also 2 coverings are sufficient. So therefore, if you have a curtain in front of the bed, and this one can't be seen through that curtain, then it's then behind the curtain they only have to be covered with another one covering. For example, let's say we have a break front bookcase, and you put some paper behind the glass or behind, then that would consider be 2 coverings. It seems to me that if it's a real cabinet, it doesn't need, which is not glass, it would not need a second covering. It'd be sufficient. In any event, he says that this is Shakli Hasheni Loti Amyuchalem. The second keli has to be one which is not designated for this thing, because then, as many as coverings you have, it's also one covering. Simon Mem Ayin Shom. When they're both kelim which are designated for the purpose, there are 100 of them, they're all considered just to be as one. If you put a garment on a box of books, also on a bookshelf, an open bookshelf is the same thing. That is considered keli in a keli. If it's a large box which holds 40 saw, which is 3 cubic amos, and kli, you don't need another keli. The cholek reshus latzmo, it makes a reshus unto itself. Because with the mezuzah tzor gamken keli b'toch kli. The mezuzah also should not be visible in the room unless it is a vessel within a vessel. The mezuzah enter kli b'toch kli. Arukh HaShulchan does not hold that way. Since the mezuzah has got to be there, it's enough to have one covering. If it's embedded in the doorpost of the room and it's covered with paper or with glass or or anything else, that suffices. And this is always as we see the case. Mishnah Berurah says that even a box which is 40 saw, if it's movable, but if it is attached to the wall, so it's immobile, then everybody agrees you can be lenient, consider anything in there in a separate reshus. It's best not to have relations neither at the beginning of the night, nor at the end of the night. You should not hear other people conversing and think about other women. In the middle of the night, when everything is pretty silent. We can't do it in the middle of the night. And you don't have to be concerned about that. You have relations with awe and with fear. You could reveal a tefach, and conceal a tefach. And he looked like he was someone who was compelled by a demon. The fear and the trepidation, whereas if a demon was compelling him to do what he was doing. Some say that revealing a tefach, covering tefach, which is a strange thing to say, because the halacha is that they both should be certainly if they one or the other wants, they are supposed to be completely naked at the time of relations. So some say that it means Shalom Amaraka Ever Shas Tashmish, that he would not, I'm not sure exactly what this means, but I guess it means he would not thrust the organ at the time of relations, also in order to diminish his pleasure. It's as if he looks like he was compelled demon because he was being compelled. Some people say he revealed a tefach in his wife. So it's tashmish. He would reveal her for the purpose of relations. And then he would conceal her. He wouldn't spend a long time having relations. The doimelo is as if he was frightened by a demon. And when he was frightened, he left the deed. And thus he would be very, very quick with his marital relations. Mishnah Pura says that all of these, in terms of the time of night, if he sees his Yetzer is overcoming him, and he's coming to lascivious thoughts, and he may come to an emission, he should not be machmir and just do it when the time when the time is ripe. Yudal Viksha Raivazal. Ravid asked on this statement about Rabbi Eliezer. We say that as a reward for extending the time of relations, you get male children. Tiritz, he said, answered that kol l'shem shamayim. Everything you do should do l'shem shamayim. I always said al derech, it's not a drush. That kafo shade, as if he was compelled by a demon, means he did it with tremendous drive and desire, as if he was being compelled by a demonic desire to do what he did. So that'd be the kind of like the antithesis of what we were saying till now. And the Ravid saying everything, everything is relative to the person, the people, the time, the place, and everything has to do with doing things for the right reason. Hashem looks into the hearts of everybody. Somebody who's sure he can do this deed and won't have stray thoughts. And he spends time in intimacy with his wife, so she should have pleasure because we have chila, and she should have a. It's not clear what Tazriyat Chila means. Literally means to emit seed first, but it probably has something to do with climaxing first. So it's mitzvah nazmai to do the mitzvah, meaning in this case the mitzvah of something of haftarech hakamocha or puravu. Because Baruch Hashem rewards him with male children. Mishem Batuach Matzvah is not secure about himself. And therefore he does things quickly. To be saved from a sin, not to think of some other woman. He's also Hashem will reward him. Also with male children. That's what we learn. All your deeds should be the sake of heaven. Some people say that to reveal tefach means the apron which she would wear for tznius. Even when they're in bond relations, he required her to wear that apron. Men only reveal tefach from it. Covered afterwards, and also to diminish his pleasure. Like we said before, you're not allowed to compel a woman to have relations dressed. But this apron evidently is not the same thing like clothing. Besides, when they're both agreeable, and it's okay to have relations no matter how you are dressed or undressed. And there's some element of tznius in being more covered. And all the interpretations have truth to them. A person who is a Baal Nefesh should be careful if he has capacity. If you recall, we said that Yaakov Kamenetsky held even at the age 90 that Baal Nefesh did not apply to him. He should not talk to her about matters which don't have to do with the relations. Not during relations, nor before relations. So you shouldn't think about another woman. But concerning matters of relations, mutar, it's permitted to increase his desire. It has to be in measure and weight. Again, everything should be l'shem shamayim. Hashem tells a person what his conversation was. Even the light conversation between man and woman is told over to the person when he is judged. If they were they were upset at each other, also Shamash said he's not allowed to have relations until he mollifies her. He certainly could speak whatever's necessary before relations in order to mollify her, to make her feel better. Tez Zayin. Also, Shamash or Haner, one is not allowed to have relations by the light of the candle. Even if you darken it with your talus, with your garment, it's not modest. Unless some mechitza gabo asur tefachim there, but you made a mechitza 10 tefachim in front of the candle. Or near derech mechitza, even if the light can be seen through that mechitza. Since there's their interruption, the sheet shari. Days are mamish. That's not considered to be true light. That has to be a revealed light source. More near the malmi mechitza going to mechitza magira tikra. So to the light can be seen above mechitza, because the mechitza doesn't get to the ceiling. Gakim water is permissible. Nevertheless, you should darken. You should cover yourself with the talus, or darken light with the talus. That you shouldn't look at the erva. Or cloud. The Kabbalists say there shouldn't be a light at all. We are not Kabbalists. The Sharatzir writes that if the candle illuminates from another room, again, also it's good enough to have to conceal the light with the talus. Again, it's not clear exactly where this talus is going, on them or in front of the light, but the Mishnah Berurah is not sure if the illuminates upon them directly, if it's permissible or not. But the bottom line is that there should not be an open light source in the room. If light is coming from elsewhere, then it does not have to be totally dark in the room unless you were a Kabbalist. And Mukubalim say that there should be no light even when she's pregnant, and she's not. The bezegon nichbelav cause the child to have to be epileptic, and we are not makbir on these things. Vayashi Makila, somebody who sleeps under a canopy, she's going farhang. I guess it's something to do with forehanging. If the curtains are thick, apil aid machshichos the garment, even if they don't completely darken the room, mutar is permissible. Sharatzin says it's when they look like a mechitza. If the moon shines them directly through the window, they should not have relations. If it illuminates into the room, but not upon them directly, we're not so concerned. Vishbur says here, nevertheless, it's good that you should cover with your talus. He also writes that if they're in the open air, and there are walls around them, even if the light of the moon does not come upon them directly, but they are in the here it says itself, doesn't mean the shadow, means they're in the path of the light of the moon. Nevertheless, it's forbidden. If there's no walls, then it can't have relations, even if there is no light at all. In other words, you're not supposed to have relations out in an open field. It's not considered to be tzniistic. Back to the Arukh HaShulchan. You're not supposed to have relations during the day unless it's in a dark house. Talmid just covers himself with his talus umutar. Because Talmid be careful not to look at the opening. So basically, the main issue is not so much the light, but not to look in a way which is immodest, and that's the general principle. More important time the Shem about Davar Magunat. These kind is another reason given that he might see something to discuss about her, and she's going to be disgusting or love to him. Because of Brahman She'en is cooking to say Elimnei Tzora Gadol. Brahman says you only have relations during the day if there is a great necessity. Everybody's great necessity is obviously going to be different. Chochmas Adam sounds like when his Yetzer Hara is really overwhelming him and can come to some sin of emission, then anybody can have relations just by putting a cover over them during the day. B'mutar says mechitza b'son b'Shabbos, which is he's bar b'sivin shin tes vav. When it's allowed to make a mechitza on Shabbos in order to have relations where there's a Torah or light, that will come up much later in Hilchos Shabbos.